Okay. All right, everybody. Hello, my name is Wayne Marks, and I'm with Integrity Tree Financial. I'm a mortgage broker and RVP here based out of Toronto, Canada. And I'm joined with my colleague, Trevor Isaac, who is also a mortgage broker at Integrity Tree Financial and also a real estate agent with Sutton Group Realty. We're joined today with our special guest, Dennis Caye from Belize Islands Real Estate. He's going to talk to us about a bit about his opportunities over at Ambergris Caye in Belize. So please, Dennis, take it away.
Awesome. Well, first of all, let me relate to you a little bit of a story regarding how much I appreciate Canadians. And you guys are going to love this. So I started working in Belize real estate in 2006 on the island of Ambergris Caye, about the middle of 2006. And I had a really good run for about 12 months. And then you know what happened in 2008? Well, the entire financial system came crashing down. So what was interesting, though, is going in from 2008, 9, and 10, the money in northern Alberta, so Calgary and Edmonton and up there in Fort McMurray, that entire little pocket of Canadians had more money than they know what to do with. And they were coming down to Ambergris Caye and buying up property left and right. So they saved me and my wife financially during those few lean years during the financial crash. So first of all, I know you're not from that area, but a big shout out to all my Canadian clients who have supported us over the years.
Excellent. Great story, Dennis. So Dennis, tell us a bit about some of the opportunities that that you have access to as your well-experienced realtor, as you mentioned before, on the island. What can clients expect if they were looking at Ambergris Caye, either for retirement, investment, etc.?
Yeah, good question. So I've been doing this, like I said, since 2006, and over the years, I've tried to focus on different markets. So, for example, the condo market or the projects, resales of homes, islands, things like that. And one thing that consistently came up over and over again is people wanted this dream of living in Belize. They see the pictures of the palm trees and the sea and the food, and they have this dream. And when they come down, and because financing in Belize is so difficult, they find that many times the market is overpriced for them. They just can't get what they want. So they're looking at a beachfront home or a nice condo with a view, and they just can't swing it. And, kept on butting up against this challenge for many years. And the more I started to work with clients, the more I realized they could still have the dream if they started small. They didn't have to go all in. They didn't have to come down with, a bank book of, $500,000 to get started. And what I found for most people is that vacant land, seemed to be a good first step for them. And so what I would do is I would start driving clients around the island. Which neighborhood do you like? Do you like the East Coast with the reef? Do you prefer the secret beach side? You want something down south, up north? And a lot of it depended on their budget, how much they had to work with. And even though that piece of land might not ultimately be what they end up using or building on, it gave them a toehold on the island. It gave them their own place in the sand to start to build from. So my niche market really over the past 10 to 12 years has been focusing on vacant land deals in up and coming areas that have a good reason to appreciate. Something about these neighborhoods is going to make them attractive in the future. So that's where I find I can really help my clients the best.
Now, I have a question regarding, demographics. What sort of demographics are you finding most that are coming down to the island, and where do you see them, tipping their toes in the water? Do you find it more so on the land development side? Do you find it more so in the condo market, or do you find it more so in up and coming developments?
Well, that's a good question, Trevor. So as far as demographics go, I got kind of basically two different branches of people that come down. The first branch, I would say, are men, women in their late 20s to, let's say, late 30s. They're in their earning years. They may or may not have kids. Most of them are married, but they have some stability. They may own businesses, and they have a little bit of extra cash flow. And so when they come down, they're primarily looking just to buy something, just to put aside and say to themselves, you know what, I'm only 29 or 39 or 45. I got a 10, 15-year run ahead of me before I'm going to really use something in Belize. But at least I can get some land, because the land's going to go up in value. So I have that demographics. Those are mainly land buyers. And then once I get up into the, let's say, 50, 60, 65-year-old demographics, those are people with a more shorter time span, a shorter time window, I should say. And so the neighborhoods they're looking at primarily are ones that are already easily accessible. They're the ones that are more apt to buy condos or homes, or they have a shorter build window. So instead of buying now and building in 10 years, they're buying now and building the next 12 to 36 months. So I got those two groups, and they're very different in what they're looking for too, by the way. They're obviously they have different goals. With that older demographics, now you have extended families to take into consideration. You have the grandkids at home. You have, all these kind of things. They're starting to kind of phase out of their business, maybe enter retirement. With the younger demographics, they're just full on, hey, how can I invest? Where can I make some money? Where can I set myself up for the future?
That's great. We find that kind of all over the place, and I think you're right. I think you hit it on the head, because it seems to be a lot of our clientele. The demographics are very similar, right? And again, with the older crowd, the runway is not as long as you mentioned. So I guess they're looking more for like a turnkey type of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things too that I've learned over the years, especially on Ambergris Caye, and I'm not sure if this would apply so much to your demographic, you can fill me in, or your area where you specialize in there in Canada. But on Ambergris Caye, development can take place extremely slow, and it can take a long time for a new neighborhood to open up, because the government of Belize, for one, makes good money. But they don't have a lot of extra money to throw at an area to develop it, to open it up. Like, for example, you would in Tulum or Cancun, Mexico, where the government has billions to put into an area. Belize doesn't have that. So when you look at an island like Ambergris Caye, you'll find that many times what opens up a new area for us is a developer or a single investor who comes in with some money. He puts in a road, he might run some electricity, he might build a small resort, something to improve this little pocket of little pocket neighborhood, call it. And then all of a sudden you see this pocket neighborhood start to expand over the years. And so what I call that in my marketing and sales is the path of progress. And I'm looking ahead. What are the areas that are going to be extremely attractive, let's say 3 years from now, or 10 or 15 years from now? Those are the areas I buy and invest in myself, because my wife and I are also investors. So we say, okay, what would I buy today that I feel in the next 3 to 5 years is going to have a really good chance of appreciating, and here's the reasons why. Or if I have a 10-year plan, I'm only 53, so I'm investing now for the next 20, 30 years. I need money when I'm 80, right? So I'm still investing when I'm 80. And so that's the same philosophy I talk with my clients on. I'll get on a Zoom call and say, look, what's your investment comfort level? How much do you have to invest? And then what is your time frame? You want to see a return in a year, 10 years, 20 years? Let's talk about what areas then the island most likely would appeal to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's excellent. I mean, I think what I've noticed a lot on your channel is that path to progress that you mentioned. You do reference a lot of the land and the development that is coming. It's not tomorrow, but if you've got the time and willing to wait, it will be there at some point on the island. Maybe you could talk to us a bit about some do's and don'ts for people considering Ambergris Caye, or even Belize, the country itself.
Yeah, I would say the top don'ts would be, again, don't go all in and don't swing for the home run on your first property. Sometimes people come up to me and they'll say, Dennis, I have this much amount of money to spend. Which property should I be looking at? And in their mind, they're considering a single property. And many times a single property isn't going to meet all their needs with that amount of money. Could be 100,000, 500, or million. So most of the time, if they're just getting advice from a single real estate agent who may or may not have an agenda, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but a real estate agent might be focused on solely one type of real estate. And so for them, everyone is going to be kind of pushed into this one type of real estate because that's what they focus on. Others might focus on different projects. So I would say when you come down, don't be so focused on one particular type of real estate or one particular lane, I might say, condos, homes, land, whatever it might be. Keep your mind open and realize that what's right for you could be a combination of things. It could be a lower end condo and some land that you could then sell with a mortgage. And I do a lot of this myself. So that would be a don't. And don't be very, very careful. And I'll say this, and I've said this a lot, so no one's going to get too mad at me if they're building things on the island. But be very, very cautious buying into anything that is not constructed yet, pre-construction. There are a lot of projects in Belize that have failed, not necessarily because the developers have done anything wrong per se, or not because the developers are corrupt, but just in Belize, there's a lot of unknowns. Let's put it that way. So somebody could come down very well qualified, very well financially backed. They get into a project, they start it, gets off the ground, and for one reason or another, it fails. And I've seen a lot of people get hurt. So be very careful with that. Don't do that. And also, again, don't stretch yourself too thin. If you come to me and you say, Dennis, I got 300,000 to spend. My goal is to only spend 200 of it and see how you can invest the other 100, because you should come down and you should invest in something that makes you feel like, wow, you know what? This feels good. I'm not nervous about this. This didn't take my last dime. I made an investment. I'm seeing that that's working out okay. I can move forward with other investments in the future. Don't go all in. Start small. Test the waters. Prove it to yourself. Prove the area that you're looking at, right? Prove the developer that you might want to work with. You know, once you have proof of concept and over time it's working, then you can go deeper.
That's great advice. So having driven the island ourselves, right, and seeing where some of the hotspots may be coming, like for sure Secret Beach, maybe you can touch on some of the other areas of the island that you see up and coming, like with Secret Beach, for example. My guess would be 3 to 5 years, because when you drive out to Secret Beach, well, the roads, for example, aren't really up there. And I know that once progress comes, right, then all of that stuff will be coming in, roads and all the infrastructure and all that sort of stuff. But aside from Secret Beach, what other area or development area on the island do you see that maybe has a 2 to 5 year window?
Okay, that's a good question. So regarding this path of progress, Trevor, what I normally look for is what's going to anchor the neighborhood, what's going to be the solid anchor that establishes the neighborhood, and then where's it going to go from there? Where's it going to grow? So, for example, a beachfront, you guys are going to love this, beachfront at Secret Beach. Back 10 years ago, we were selling beachfront lots for 55, 60,000 and thinking we were doing good. And those same lots now are selling between 400 and 475,000. And they're worth it. They're worth every dime. And I can go into detail why they are. They're worth every dime. But what that does right now, that has anchored Secret Beach. So now what I do, I look north and south of there. Where's the next neighborhood north that is really close that I can get beachfront from a lot less? So, for example, a specific, I have beachfront property north of Secret Beach that's starting at around 125 to 150,000 for direct beachfront. All right. Still a significant amount of money to most people, but not 450,000. So you start to look a little bit further north, a little bit further south. Another example I can give you is where Margaritaville is recently being built and opened. So Margaritaville is on the northeast side of Ambergris Caye, about 13 miles up. Margaritaville is a huge brand, brings a huge following. That resort is now open, and they're also doing a phase 2. All right, so that piques my interest. All right, we have an anchor for this area. They also have the permitting to extend the actual road from about where it ends at Habaneros all the way up to Margaritaville. So now they're just in negotiations, who's going to pay for the road, right? But think about this. Once that area has road access, You have a large branded hotel with 2 phases. What are the areas north and south of there that now I can look at? Is it going up to Robles Point? Now, many of your viewers might not know where some of these landmarks are, but I can explain more on a map. Robles Point going all the way up to the Mexican border. So, for example, we have beachfront properties located just south of the Mexican border, starting at 75 to 95,000. Direct Caribbean properties. All right, 60 feet wide of beachfront, palm trees, looking at the reef. We have off-beach lots up in that area starting between 15 to 18,000. Now, this is completely inaccessible right now, no doubt about it. To me, I didn't go a step further. This is a 8 to 12-year-old. But at those prices, look at what prices have done on other parts of the island, right? So once you have that anchor to move from, that's a great spot up there. So I would say northeast side Ambergris Caye and north of Secret Beach are the 2 places that I'm really looking at right now.
Excellent. Excellent.
No, that's some great information there, Dennis. I think one of the do's that you missed out on was do speak to an experienced realtor like yourself before making the plunge, or just if you're planning a trip down there, to definitely connect with you, because your knowledge is invaluable in terms of what's available on the island, and the advice that you've already given I think is excellent about not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Come down, check it out, talk about what funds you have available, and making sure that whatever you do end up buying meets your needs, and makes you comfortable at the end of the night. You have to be able to sleep.
There might be one more don't, and we've experienced this ourselves, right? Wherever location that you're coming from, if you're buying property, it's probably not best to buy unseen, especially when you go into a foreign country, right? Even if you put a deposit down, which is what we did, put a deposit down, take the trip, and get the feel of where it is that you're actually thinking about investing, because there are cultural differences that may affect you, whether it be food, whether it be just the people itself. And I think it's important that if you're thinking about a foreign investment, you need to make that trip. You need to make that initial trip and just get the feel of what it is you're actually considering buying into. Thank you, Dennis, so much for your time. It's really been informative. I think a lot of our clients can benefit from the knowledge and the information that you've shared with us, and we really can't wait to share it amongst our database.
Thanks a lot, Trevor. Wayne, I really appreciate being on the show. One of the things that you guys are going to help me distribute to my clients, especially my clients in Canada, is this OFX. I'm very excited about working with you guys on that, and also how to get some more capital, so my clients can bring some more capital from Canada down to Belize. I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of my clients. So thank you guys so much.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Dennis. Take care, and we'll see you on your next YouTube video.
Sounds good. And I'll see you in Belize. Pelicans on me.